Israel has vowed retaliation against Hezbollah after a rocket attack that killed 12 children. I asked retired four-star general if the United States would support Israel in a wider war. Watch this.
I think it'd be very difficult for this administration to say no if Israel needed U.S. help, if Israel needed air power to assist in dealing with the attacks that Hezbollah is raining down on them. I don't see how we could say no to that. But there is some skepticism in my mind about it.
Senator Bill Hagerty is with us this morning. Mr. Senator, you're on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee.
Yes.
In the event of a wider war, will Republicans stand united and firm behind Israel and give them the weapons they want and need?
Stuart, you can be absolutely certain of that. All the Republicans are going to stand steadfast here. We've been very clear in all of our messaging. I agree with General Keane. I don't see how this administration could hesitate but to step up. But what we've seen is this administration trying to both sides the situation in Israel time and time again to provide some sort of support for the activities of Hamas, which is just unconscionable. You look at Hezbollah right now, 12 children were killed. This is a terrible act of terrorism. We need to call it what it is and support Israel as they step up and retaliate.
Mr. Senator, I'm going to change the subject for a second here. You spoke at the Bitcoin conference in Nashville.
Yes.
Are you in favor of Trump's plan to make a national Bitcoin stockpile?
President Trump announced a very clear plan. He said we've got a great deal of Bitcoin already in the coffers of the United States. These are Bitcoin that have been confiscated, et cetera. He's going to hold on to that. He did not announce a broader program to begin to acquire Bitcoin, but what he talked about was retaining that in our coffers and not selling it, and making that a benchmark that really gives credibility to the Bitcoin currency. Also, he's been much more articulate about what we will do, broadly speaking, with crypto technology. He's going to end the war on crypto that's been waged by this current administration. He's going to stand against a central bank digital currency, which is directly the means and method that this administration seems to want to deploy, just in the same way that China uses its digital yuan as a means of controlling financial transactions in their country. We do not want that to happen here in America, even though the Biden administration seems to move every bit in that direction. President Trump favors the decentralized nature of this currency. He also favors the ability to self-custody the currency. And he's going to end the war on crypto here in America so we can see this innovation take place here on our shore rather than push it offshore the same way we did with semiconductors years before.
It sounds very much like the Republicans are the party of crypto. Is that accurate? And the Democrats are not.
I think that's very accurate, Stuart, and I think President Trump's speech made it increasingly clear. If you look at basic principles like liberty and freedom that we stand for, prosperity and innovation, these are Republican principles. And the people in the cryptocurrency arena, the people in crypto technologies as well as Bitcoin, I think fully identify with that because that's the way they see the world too. The alignment could not be better. And what we're doing is broadening the aperture, bringing new voters, new supporters into the fold for Republicans. Certainly President Trump is leading the way.
Before we close, could you tell me what this national Bitcoin stockpile would actually do? What's its function?
Well, I think there are a number of legislative proposals about what might happen beyond what President Trump announced. But what President Trump announced at the conference was the fact that we would be retaining the Bitcoin that's already in the possession of the U.S. government. I think what that does is establish a level of credibility for the currency and shows that this is something that we're going to be supporting as a nation moving forward. I'm most interested in the productivity and the innovation that will come with it as well. We're creating the ecosystem here, and if Republicans are elected, it's on the ballot this November. If Republicans are elected, we'll see the industry thrive here. If Democrats retain power, they're doing everything they can to kill this industry.
Senator Bill Hagerty, thank you very much for taking time out to be with us this morning. Always appreciate it.
Great to be with you.
Thanks very much indeed.